one's arguing against ageism, and you just keep up with tallism, and you're arguing that being tall is. Because,
been in the Caribbean for a while, I guess, and it'll have just made it through the canal, so we'll get on when it comes out of the canal and take it to Honolulu.
The Panama Canal. I've always wanted to try that one too.
Yeah, we're gonna have some drinks. So there's a bar, I guess, right at the exit, at the Pacific side, the exit entrance, whatever, at the Pacific side, where you can like sit there with ships going by and reach out and touch them as they're passing by in the canal. Basically.
Reach out and touch them. Okay.
Good things about that. So that'll be fun. We'll do that for a day or two, and then
wonderful. So let's see. We've got about 8 minutes till the top of the hour break. If anybody wants to come on up, please do. Anybody on stage like to talk about anything? Just unmute your mic and speak.
This is just an aside, Steve, but while you were talking about your cruise the first time, I was refilling my coffee cup and tipped half a cup of coffee onto my phone.
Ouch! Ouch!
Yeah, it seems all right. I assume I sound all right, but I was like, oh my God, like panicking as you're talking about your cruise because my phone is just drenched in coffee.
Yeah, that is never a good thing to get your phone super wet or drenched with coffee or anything like that. That is always a pain in the butt.
Then why are you?
I think I reacted quickly, and I used my husband that can of compressed air that computer guys have. I use that on the ports to try to make sure all the no liquid was left. It actually, like, my phone was, the ports were facing away from the way I spilled it, so I think that they didn't actually get wet because I immediately picked up the phone. But anyway. I think it's all right.
When I buy a new phone, I refuse to leave the mobile phone store until I have that phone safely packed away in a $40, $50, or $60 phone protection thingamajiggy or whatever like that, you know?
Yeah, fortunately, my brother invested in a nice case and a screen protector too, so I think I'm all good.
A case and a screen protector, that's $100. Now, some people get a screen protector, some people get a case, some people get both. I get the screen protector. I get the case. I don't abuse my phone, but I do drop it occasionally, and so I just want to make sure that it is all good. I would hate to see that screen crack. You know what I mean? That is like, oh, I hate to see that. Anybody else on stage like to contribute about anything? Okay, well, let's see what else is happening. We'll do the show for another 2 hours and 6 minutes. Then, unfortunately, I have some work to do from home. And let's see, tomorrow, again, we'll do the show. We'll be back again tomorrow, Sunday, from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. PST. Yeah, that's right. And then a little bit more work. And let's see, I may or may not get my new coffee pot. I also need a new television. And I've got to call my IT guy and get ready with for him to do a couple of things to my laptop before I go on the cruise and work. Let's see. And so that Saturday, the day I come home, the 21st, Reverend Scott will be taking over and doing the entire show on that Saturday, the 21st. So, Reverend, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And if you're in the audience and you don't know what you want to talk about, once again, this is what we call the best 2 minutes on Clubhouse.
Sergeant Andrew Wolf fighting for his life tonight. Authorities are calling it an ambush attack. New details tonight on the suspected shooter, now identified as 29-year-old Afghan national. Sources say he worked with a CIA-backed paramilitary group helping the Americans during the war in Afghanistan. Authorities now say he drove cross-country from Washington state to carry out the shooting, armed with a .357 revolver. Tonight, he faces several charges.
You picked the wrong target, the wrong city, and the wrong country.
What we're learning about the investigation, and tonight the Trump administration halting all immigration from Afghanistan in the wake of the shooting. Our team standing by with new reporting. Also developing, we're tracking 2 major storms just as millions get ready to head home from the busy Thanksgiving holiday. Heavy lake effect snow piling up across the Great Lakes. Travel chaos tonight from the Dakotas to Michigan to New York. Hundreds of crashes reported in Minnesota. And now an even bigger cross-country storm is brewing. Our weather team times it all out. The horrific images just coming in. A state lawmaker killed in a violent crash in Colorado. What we've just learned. Also tonight, a powerful magnitude 6 earthquake striking Alaska with reports of violent shaking. Overseas tonight, the first American pope touching down in Turkey on the first foreign trip of his papacy. Pope Leo's message of peace in the Middle East. With us hours away from Black Friday, some retailers are offering deep discounts as shoppers say they're cutting back on spending. And America strong on this Thanksgiving. After a raging fire, the senior citizens expressing their gratitude to first responders who saved their lives.
And it is a Thanksgiving weekend, officially Small Business Saturday. So please, we encourage you to support small businesses in your area. And it's always a good thing. And if you're in the audience and want to come up, we're going to take our mandatory break right now. Coming up during the break is a good time. Think about what you want to talk about. Make a few notes. You can talk about anything you want, from God, religion, current events, politics, Clubhouse, the show, you, and of course me. I've assembled the best mod squad in the history of Clubhouse. They have a wide variety of fields of expertise and knowledge. You can come on up and ask me or them a question, or you can go on a narrative. Just have a take and don't suck. What does that mean? That just means, be respectful and don't say something completely stupid. Otherwise, we'll stop you on a dime and we will grill your ass. Don't go away. We'll be back with hour number 2 of Ask Uncle Steve with Reverend Scott and the Mod Squad after the break.
Nowhere.
You might well cold ass and stand outside. But she ain't gonna lie, she still might have stayed outside. I would have told the baby, come on. Wait till the Uber got there.
You should have just hit that shit, bro. Fuck that hoe.
Nah, I just left.
The highest excellence is like that water. The excellence of water appears in its benefiting all things, and in its occupying without striving. The low place which all men dislike hence is near to the tail. The excellence of a residence is in the place. That of the mind is in abysmal stillness. That of associations is in their being with the virtuous. That of government is in its securing good order. That of affairs is in its ability. And that of the action of any movement is in its time, timeless, and when does not rain
Prank calling my low IQ Uncle Steve in his card squad.
Chasing shadows in the neon glow, lost in mirrors where truth won't show. Empty streets, they hum inside. I see the surface, but I don't ask why. Beyond the pavement, there's a spark, a light that flickered in the dark. Not the echo, not the scream, to find a room is to be seen. The hollow world, it spins and bends, falls begin, twisted ends. We touch the glass, we see it crack. The more we reach, the more it lasts. Inside the silence,
That's good one.
the meaning waves
Dinner rolls.
through every shadow. The truth translates. Beyond appearance, there's a spark, a light that flickers in the dark. Not the echo, not the scream, to find the room is to be seen. Ignorance that paints the sky, colors bright but born to fly.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Ask Uncle Steve with Reverend Scott and the Mod Squad. If you're here for the first time, this is the way the show works. We are not like your average clubhouse room. We encourage everybody to come up and talk about whatever they want, just like, you'll have to forgive me, my glasses are off. Is it AI music? John, is that you, or is it somebody else? AI music. Hello.
Hello, Uncle Steve. This is your good friend, AI Music.
I thought it was. Good morning, welcome, and yes, you can read something for 1 minute, but of course you can paraphrase for up to 5. Get a fresh 5. Go ahead, AI Music.
Okay, Uncle Steve. This is called The Legend of Uncle Steve.
I love it. You wrote a poem about me.
On his couch, imperial Alpine in majestic grandeur lay, dying with the sun that faded o'er the plain of granite gray. Snowy white his beard descended, flecked with foeman's crimson gore, and he rose and grasped his broad sword, and he prayed to mighty Thor. God of thunder, God of battle, God of pillage and of war, hear the King of Scotland dying on the Lenny's thunderous shore. Thrice 300 have I smitten with my single arm this day. Now of life my soul is weary, I am old, I pass away. Grant me this immortal monarch, such a tomb as ne'er before, such a tomb as never after monarch thought or monarch saw. Then he called his sons around him, and he spake again and cried, 7 times a clansman's bow shot lay me from the Lenny's side. Where the plain to westward sinketh, lay me in my tartan plaid, all uncovered to the tempest, in my hand my trusty blade. Hardly had he spake the order when his spirit passed away, and his sons their heads uncovered as they bore him o'er the brae. 7 times did fail MacAlpine bend his mighty bow of Yahoo. 7 times with lightning swiftness west the winged arrow flew. 7 times a clansman's bow shot from the Lenny's western shore. Laid they him whereon to Acre spread the plain of Ian Vor. Hard by Teith's tumultuous waters camped his sons throughout the night, till the rosy blush of morning showed a vast majestic sight, where of late the plain extended rose a mighty mass of stone, pierced the clouds and sprang unmeasured in magnificence alone. There the clansmen stood and wondered as the rock supremely dire split and trembled, cracked and thundered, lit with living flecks of fire. Spake Uncle Steve the chief, my trusty clown houseman, this is not the day of doom. This is honor to the Almighty. Clansmen, this is Alpine's tomb.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Did you want to paraphrase or contribute anything else, or are you good for now?
I got a question for you. Geopolitically, the war on drugs has been a very costly and what many people would consider a huge failure. And now Trump is ramping up a military invasion of Venezuela to take out the drug lords who are bringing in all these harmful chemicals into our country. I'm just wondering, does anyone here think there's a better solution to the war on drugs instead of invading Venezuela?
Well, that's a very good question. As my dad always told me, trust your experts. Let's go to Alfonso since he lives in South America. Alfonso, are you there, my brother from another mother? Alfonso, are you there? He normally spends the weekend with family. There we go. Alfonso, and I think I asked you this question last week, but what are your thoughts about the United States bringing their warships down to Venezuela near South America where you live?
Sorry, say that again?
What do you think about the United States bringing its aircraft carrier warships down to South America to fight the drug trade?
I hope it works out, but I think he doesn't really care, does he?
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think so. He cares, first of all, about himself. I don't think he has many friends. He keeps betraying them. So it's weird. I wish they would do a proper war on drugs or legalize them and regulate them. But I think we see higher interests. There's the mafia is not only about the narcs, but all the people surrounding drugs. And, I think that DEA might also be kind of for a bit. So it's a hard call to make. But like I said, I wish we could have actually regulate or do away with drugs, that they're really destroying our youth. And yeah, well, and there's much more beyond cocaine, right? There's this whole opiates epidemic. So it's a larger question than we wish. It's a larger question that we cannot address in a few sentences, but I kind of embrace the presence of the U.S. in Latin America. Because historically it's been, I think, beneficial in many ways. But I don't know, it's a hard call.
In one of these rare instances, I would kind of have to agree with John that throughout American history, the war on drugs has been a failure most of the time. But let's try Brian. Brian is new on stage. Brian, did you want to contribute about the war on drugs, or did you want to wait? Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I did want to chime in on the drug thing, because
please do.
How does that make sense that we are blowing people out of the water without a trial, and really on a hunch, not really any evidence? We're killing up to 80 people so far. We're about to invade Venezuela, but then Trump turns around and pardons the former president of Honduras, who was convicted in a United States court and sentenced to 45 years for drug trafficking. He had what they call it, the super cocaine highway into the United States, and literally tons of coke into the United States. And Trump is going to pardon this guy. I mean, how does that make sense?
That is a very good point. Apparently, since September, the United States reportedly has destroyed over 20 vessels in the Caribbean and Pacific, alleged, as John correctly said, alleged to be linked, or maybe it was Alfonso that said that, alleged to be linked to drug trafficking networks as part of a broader crackdown. Trump and the U.S. has accused Venezuelan leadership of direct involvement, in particular the so-called Cartel de los Soles, said to include some senior Venezuelan officials, has been labeled a terrorist organization. Trump framed his actions as necessary to stop the flow of narcotics that kill Americans. A tough stance on what Trump calls a narco dictatorship. That's an interesting name. Hi, Norm. We'll get to you in a bit. The United States has ramped up its military presence in the Caribbean, as I said, including warships, an aircraft carrier group, operations aimed against trafficking networks near Venezuelan waters. The shift from maritime interdiction, there's a new word for me, to planned land-based operations marks a significant escalation in the United States policy towards Venezuela, towards drug trafficking. Critics, including Venezuela's government, argue that the trafficking accusations serve as a pretext for potential regime change rather than strictly anti-narcotics efforts. Now, there's an interest talking about the United States potentially attempting to overthrow the government of Venezuela or encourage or help out a coup, and that the drug trafficking is just a smokescreen. Legal experts, human rights organizations have raised red flags over the strikes on vessels in international waters, among them concerns about extrajudicial killings, lack of due process, and whether such use of force is lawful under international law. Skeptics also question the validity of claims linking some targeted groups, such as Tren de Arguella, directly to large-scale international drug smuggling, noting limited evidence of their involvement in cross-border narcotics. If the U.S. land-based operations commence, this could dramatically escalate conflict between the United States and Venezuela, destabilizing regional security. The campaign transforms narcotics into a foreign policy and possibly military confrontation, blurring the lines between law enforcement, military action, and international diplomacy. Humanitarian and legal risks are elevated. If strikes targeted civilian boats or unverified suspects, it could spark international condemnation and blowback. For Venezuelan citizens, United States-Venezuelan relations and regional geopolitics remain highly uncertain, especially given conflicting narratives and limited transparency. John, what do you think? And then we'll go to El Normal.
Well, I was just going to interject.
Yes.
I mean, we can't ignore the fact that Venezuela has the largest oil reserves on the planet. It's hard to imagine that all of this would be happening absent that fact. And I'm not claiming that that's the reason for it, but I think it's probably fair to say that none of this would be happening if Venezuela didn't sit on top of so much of our oil.
I noticed how you said our oil.
I did.
John Kitover, any thoughts? Kitover?
Yeah. I don't think, because it's not just going to be airstrikes. Apparently, it's going to be a land invasion. And
that's what we're just talking about.
yeah, and my concern is if that's the point of contention. I mean, the Mexican border with all the different cartels there in Colombia and everywhere, the whole area, everything is just littered with narco organizations because we have 380 million people and Canada as well. But it's an international drug smuggling operation that goes all the way to Europe, Australia, everywhere. So my concern is this is the same game that we've been playing for 40, 50 years. I don't know, was it Nixon that announced the war on drugs or was it Reagan? So, in America now we have dispensaries in every major city where everybody, the news article yesterday about Thanksgiving was everybody is smoking up in addition to eating their turkey and cranberries. So I'm okay with cannabis consumption and alcohol consumption, which can both be major problems. Now, cocaine addiction, fentanyl addiction, all these other substance addictions, I think are more problematic than just cannabis and alcohol. But the big problem is as taxpayers, why is it our responsibility to invade Venezuela to kick narco-terrorist asses and supposedly under the presumption of just drugs, but we all know it's about the trillions of dollars worth of oil and the fact that Maduro is maybe a piece of S. So I'm just saying that when is America going to grow out of this problem as opposed to digging in and basically playing the same strategy? I just find psychologically we haven't developed a nuance to this drug consumption problem that we have here in America.
Thank you, John. Let's go to El Normo. El Normo, good morning. Pleasure.
The great one, Steve. We got the great one.
Yes,
the great one. El Normo.
Good morning. Good morning, Norm.
Uncle Steve and
yes.
Reverend Scott and the Mod Squad. And thank you so much once again for my fresh fry.
You're welcome. Go ahead and take it.
So, I was a little bit amused to hear a mention of an irrelevancy like oil, which again has not come up in any reporting. Just throw it out there. Just mention oil, and perhaps we'll pay no attention to the man behind the screen. Let's just throw out some irrelevancies like oil. Who is the man behind the screen? I'm glad you asked. The man behind the screen in the case of the drug cartels is international organized terror. What, you may ask? Well, I pasted a few links in the chat, but there are many more links available. It has been well established that international Islamic terror organizations like Hezbollah an enemy of the United States, responsible for the killing of many Marines, U.S. Marines, many Israelis, many Arabs, close to 1 million Arabs in Syria and Lebanon. They are linked with the drug cartels running through Venezuela. And it is in our interest to fight a funding source of international terror like drug cartels. I noticed the sophistication of these drug cartels. The other day I heard about them having a submarine. Well, of course, the West is cash rich and likes to indulge in our recreational mood-altering substances. And so the money flow is thick and heavy into the drug cartels. And I think it is U.S. policy to try to cut off the various heads of the hydra of drug cartels, which have, by the way, totally destroyed the quality of life of the Mexican people and have caused many migrants to flee countries like Guatemala, Venezuela, and of course Mexico, and name any other Central South American country, Caribbean nation. All of them under the thumb of these cash-rich drug cartels, which ally themselves with international terror organizations and wreak havoc in the world. So I think President Donald John Trump, a bit of a clumsy oaf from Queens, New York, from Jamaica Estates, but nevertheless, the man whom the American people, 75 million American people, that's, I think it's the largest mandate in history, largest or second largest, perhaps.
It's pretty damn close, yeah.
Yeah, top one or two.
Yeah.
Who has been chosen by the American people and by destiny, by history, perhaps by God himself, to lead the American people in a different direction.
And now, presently, as we speak, has the lowest approval rating of his presidency, down to about 35%. But go ahead, continue, yes.
Well, no shocker there, because as the, what did they call him? Maybe Scott will remember, the Louisiana lizard, James Carville, taught us so memorably. It's the economy, stupid. I'm not calling anybody here stupid. He was calling anybody who doubted him stupid. And the great politician, the great Jew-hating, communist, democratic, socialist politician of our time, Mamdani. You know, I can't even think of his name. What was his name? Khalil Mamdani? I can't remember. Oh, is it Mahmoud? Zohran. Yeah, Zohran with a Z.
I just call him the mayor-elect Mamdani.
Like Liza with a Z. Zohran with a Z. Trump's good buddy. Trump's little buddy.
And you got 1 minute, Norm. 1 minute.
I'm good. As he taught us, we don't have time in New York to say it's the economy, stupid. We just say affordability. That's why Trump had him to the Oval Office, because he was so impressed by his political skills in reducing everything to one word: affordability. Probably Trump will be using that word soon. So be distracted. Ignore Zohran Mamdani's advocacy of terror groups, his buddy with one of the unindicted co-conspirators of the World Trade Center bombing. Just focus on affordability, and all will be okay. The buses will run free. The rents will miraculously drop because landlords don't have bills to pay. And there will be peace and happiness in the kingdom, and the rivers will run with gold. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much. And of course, here I sit in beautiful Southern California and Los Angeles and acknowledge New York City as the capital of the world, right? Yeah, sure. So we've got Mod Squad Popcorn coming up in a couple of minutes. Would any of the mods on stage like to comment on what's been discussed in the past 10 or 15 minutes? The mods only, just unmute and say your first name. Mods, you don't need to say your first name. Okay, very
Uncle
good.
Steve.
Yes, there we go. Yes, Reverend
I
Scott.
want to say, and you know me, I've been a lifelong Democrat. Like most of your life, you were a Republican.
Yep.
And I think that the Democratic Party's future is in not choosing populisms. That I think, we have, for instance, Mamdani, who, because of the anti-Semitism is one of the things, everybody on the stage knows my issues with Mamdani. But I do think on economic populism, he's onto some stuff. And also we have Fetterman, who is sort of a cultural populist in the Democratic Party. And the Democrats we should not choose between these people. I think after the last election, people say, well, this is what the election was, more moderate, more progressivism, more, moderate. No, it's more of all of it, right? If the Democratic Party wants to remain competitive, we need more of everything. And we've got to win all across the country. We've got to win Senate seats in states that are very tough to win. And we need every club. There's 14 clubs in a golf bag for a reason, right? You don't want to hit the 7-iron every time. And I think that this tension in the Democratic Party right now between the Fetterman types and the Mamdani and AOC types is really healthy for the party. And I don't think we should try to squelch it. I don't think we should silence it. I don't think we should smooth it over. I think we should encourage the tension, because that sort of dialectical tension is the lifeblood of a healthy political party. Take you, Uncle Steve.
Thank you. Would any other mod squatter like to comment?
I just wanted to add that I agree with Alfonso that I think it would be better to just kind of legalize it and strongly regulate it. They can get taxation on it, and you can make it hard to get big amounts through a more controlled method.
That's an interesting point of view, legalizing all drugs, although it's pretty hard for me to imagine that you're going to legalize morphine, heroin, and fentanyl, where someone can just go to your Rite Aid and purchase some fentanyl. I can't wrap my fingers around that. I can't justify that. I can't justify people being allowed to do that. Now, if somebody wants to kill themselves, I don't think suicide should be illegal. But then again, that brings in a whole other slew of issues, such as assisted suicide, and drawing the line between first-degree murder and assisted suicide. It opens up a whole Pandora's box, which we can talk more and Mod Squad Popcorn. Audience, if you want to come on up, this Mod Squad Popcorn will only last a few more minutes. You could come up and talk about whatever you want after Mod Squad Popcorn. So let me throw it out. Right? Squad likes to do a karaoke. Scott, have you done any karaoke lately?
Did it last night. Did my staple. Although this week,
You did creep.
I did, but that was because of my band. But Wednesday, I did something I've never done. I don't think. I did Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire.
Really? That sounds great. I love me some Billy Joel.
Yeah.
That's not an easy one, Scott. Were you able to keep up
I
with
was
those
dying.
verses?
I actually, at the end of the song, I said, could someone call an ambulance? I needed a respirator.
I believe it. I don't think I'd ever have the breath control to be able to do that song without Well, I don't think I could do it. That's really cool.
Now, Violet, don't you do a version of like something like "I Want to Be Loved by You," "Poo Boopy Doo" or something like that?
My staples are "Dream a Little Dream of Me."
Yeah.
That's my favorite. I think I'm most skilled at that one. And I'm still waiting for my chance to debut "Big Spender" by Peggy.
There you go. Yeah, you did that really well.
Thank you. Yes, I think that'll get a good reception when I have a chance to do it actually out in the world, and I'm looking forward to it. It just hasn't worked out yet.
Now, Cora, our longtime mod squatter, who was just recently diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, she has invited all of us at whenever there's a good time to go to Stripperoke out in Portland. And I think when I go out to see my grandchild for the first time, which will probably be give or take in April or May of next year, we could probably arrange that if everybody can get out there, and that would be amazing. I'll be going out for a week, albeit I'll be staying in Eugene, which is right around where the University of Oregon is, but that's where my daughter lives, and Portland's about 90 miles away, so I'll find a way to make the trip there somewhere, somehow. But let's see, what else, mods?
I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get there too, Steve. I really want to go. I dream about Stripperoke. It pops into my dreams
really
once in a while. Yeah.
Uncle Steve, can I ask a mod a question during Mod Squad Popcorn?
Why don't you ask tell you what, let's just, if you want to throw out a topic, and then we'll talk about it, but it's only going to be a few minutes later, and then you can take a new fresh 5 and do anything you want. How does that sound?
You're the boss.
All right, there we go. So we'll just wait, and then you can take a new fresh 5. And JCC is coming up. I know he's just getting here, but JCC, we were just talking about karaoke, Stripperoke. JCC, I don't know if you're just waking up, coffee and all that, but do you have a karaoke routine at JCC?
Oh, dude, I've done karaoke once, and I am by no means.
It's not your thing.
It's not my thing, but I wouldn't mind doing it for fun. I'm not. I mean, I sing for crap, but it's all about doing it for fun.
You know what? If you sing for crap, but you move and shake your body in different ways, you get standing ovation. Trust me, I know. Anything else for the Mod Squad, or should we end Mod Squad Popcorn and then we'll give John Kitover his fresh 5? Going once, going twice, and democracy in action.
Let me teach you how to eat. Let me teach you how to eat. How to marinate.
You want to come on up, just raise your hand and bring up, talk about anything you want, just like John Kitover is going to do right now. John Kitover, you got a fresh 5. Go ahead.
Thanks, Uncle Steve. And this is John Kitover, aka AI Music. The reason why I've changed my profile to a beautiful Scarlett Johansson with AI Music is my profile name is in the description of my profile. You will see a link to my Suno account, and you can listen to music that I've created using esoteric, psychological, philosophical poetry. And I view it as education. It's an amazing amalgamation of incredible technology and music plus poetry, which I hope people will use for education and enjoyment purposes. My political opinion or comment was what Scott said, that is within the Democratic Party, these liberal, socialist populists who Scott adores so much, and so many of you in this room adore these liberal, socialist populists who you think are so great for the society and for our communities. What my problem with that sentiment or belief is is if you think that the pairing of opposites creates energy, and that's a good thing, which a lot of people think it's a good thing, well, then they're fantastic for that, because obviously they are the opposite of what we would consider our American ethos or pathos or culture. And in 1950, the average debt per U.S. citizen was only $1,700 per American citizen. $1,700. That's about 250 billion divided by the population at that time. Right now,
Congressman, why? Congressman, where did it start?
Scott, we are living
Where did it go out of control? Where did it go out of control?
I'm telling 9/11 is really when spending went out of control.
No, that's actually not true.
Well, Scott,
when Dwight Eisenhower was president, a socialist, liberal, populist, right, very right, left-wing guy. You know what the top marginal tax rate was?
Go ahead, Scott. Tell us.
89.5%.
That was under Dwight Eisenhower?
Yes, 89. Kennedy dropped it to 63, and people thought it was right-wing and insane. But it was, Kennedy. I mean, the politics and economics are a different kind of thing back then. People thought it was right-wing that Kennedy did that. So the deficit wasn't in control. Ronald Reagan dropped it to 38, okay? Bush took those tax cuts to 34, and we didn't adjust spending. So it basically, Republican supply-side economics got us to this place.
Got it.
That's what has blown up the deficit. Reagan set a new norm.
So tax the rich is your point, right, Scott? Tax the rich is your point?
No, I'm saying that I'm saying under Eisenhower, we built the middle class, okay, and the interstate highway system. We were doing great, and we had really high marginal tax rates.
Scott,
if you look at the deficit under Reagan and how since 1980 it shot up, and the new norm was these low marginal tax rates and uncontrolled spending.
Got it, Scott. I don't think you know math, though. 137 trillion in debt divided by 350 million Americans is 400,000 in debt per American citizen.
I don't think you know trends. I'm saying, John, that and look, I'll critique the left all day. Okay, I'll critique the left all day.
You adore the left. You love the left. You love Mamdani. You love AOC. You love them. You don't critique them. You love them.
What you're saying is the big problem, which we could probably agree on: the deficit and massive
spending. Exactly, borrowing and spending is the problem.
It started with a conservative hero. It's a conservative.
Oh, it's a Republican issue. I understand, Scott. Okay, you live in La La Land. The Green New Deal's hundreds of trillions in deficit spending. So your party is whack. The Republican Party's whack too, but the far left are so far whacked that they shouldn't be given the realms of power ever again, because they are so ignorant, so destructive, and malevolent. They have hatred in their heart, Scott. You don't critique the hatred in their heart, do you?
All the time. John, you know me, John. You know me. I'm as fair-minded a guy, I think. I think I critique my own party all the time. Much to the frustration of many people on the left. I've a lot of friends on the left, on this app, in public life, on my podcast, think I'm not enough of a shill for the left. I'm an honest guy. At least I try to be aspirational. What I'm saying is the deficit issues started under Reaganism, and Reagan spent it. So now again, it's a complex issue, and I don't know how we get back from here. And I think it's really tough. We'll take a lot of.
Well, Scott, we are in the now, which is 2025. You can blame Scott. Don't take us down history lessons or history hypnosis. Give us solutions. If you were the president of the United States of America, what 3 things would you do for we the people, and how would you actually enact them? Just don't tell us fantasy. Tell us how you do it.
I would means test entitlements, which would be very, very unpopular. But if you made a certain amount of money, you wouldn't get Social Security anymore. So it means test entitlement. I would cut defense spending. And we'd really have to rethink also the way we do retirement accounts. Like we'd have to think, is Social Security actually?
But nothing to Medicare, Medicaid, which is $4 trillion a year. Got it, Scott. Okay.
That's a harder thing. I probably would go in the direction of Medicare for all, because ultimately we'd have more cost control power if we did that.
See, Scott, you want to tax the rich, but what you fail to mention is that the rich adjusted gross income every year, the top 10%, guess where their money's coming from? It's coming from the government, the federal government. Borrowing and spending is what boosts people's AGIs to the highest levels in human history, Scott. So we live in a paradox.
Well, John, you asked me for some solutions. There they are, and you're my friend. I still support your candidacy, but I think on these issues, my friend, you need to do a little 1980s political history.
See, the problem with that is it's his. One second. It's history hypnosis is what Scott's doing. We live in 2025. We don't live underneath Reagan. He's dead, Scott. We live in 2025, and your history hypnosis is irrelevant and meaningless. It's useless, Scott. It's useless.
Shadows of transformative presidents. So we used to live under the shadow of FDR. Before that, we lived under the shadow of Lincoln. Before that, probably Washington.
We live in a banana republic now, Scott. It's 170 trillion. It's going to be there. You think Venezuela's a banana republic? We are the banana republic.
What I'm telling you is we live in the shadow of Ronald Reagan, which is why Clinton was a Reaganite, right? I mean, even though he's a Democrat, it was the small government, low taxes. I'm just saying that did not, Reaganism, okay, created these deficit problems. Just look at the deficit. Since pre-Reagan and post-Reagan. Look at it.
Scott, in the year 2000, we had a dot-com boom up, and it was really because the Federal Reserve increased the money supply in 2000. And ever since then, we have been inflating the currency year after year by over $2 trillion a year that we don't collect in taxes. We are the banana republic that we're going to invade. We are the biggest group of hypocrites, and there's no integrity, no ethics. This is a grift. This is a skim. This is a scam. It's a fraud. And if the Democrats get in control, they're going to blow it up even bigger, Scott. You know it. I know it. They're the biggest frauds in society.
Well, thank you all very much. And speaking of the economy, let's go to the international economic news. Global markets are mixed today after new forecasts from the International Monetary Fund signaled slower worldwide growth in the coming year. The IMF cited ongoing geopolitical conflicts, supply chain disruptions, and inflationary measures as key factors. Despite this, several emerging economies in Asia and Africa continue to show steady expansion, driven by strong manufacturing and tech development. Oil prices are also in focus as global demand shifts. Analysts say increased production in several countries may help stabilize prices over the next few months. In Europe,
nothing liberal about leftists, John.
To discuss a continent-wide security initiative aimed at improving cooperation on cyber defense and protecting critical infrastructure. Officials say the goal is to strengthen joint readiness amid rising concerns over state-sponsored cyber attacks. A final agreement is expected before the year is out. Transportation strikes continue in parts of France and Germany, with rail disruptions affecting tens of thousands of commuters. Negotiations between unions and government officials are ongoing. In Asia, tech innovation is in the spotlight as several major companies unveiled new artificial intelligence platforms at a global conference in Singapore. Industry leaders say AI adoption is accelerating across fields, including medicine, logistics, and education. Public health concerns are also being closely monitored in Southeast Asia, where authorities are tracking a rise in, is it dengue? D-E-N-G-U-E? Fever.
Dengue fever.
Dengue fever. Thank you. I've never heard that one before. Thank you, Norm. Following unusually heavy seasonal rainfall, health agencies are urging communities to eliminate standing water and take preventive.
Did you say there's a gay fever going around?
Mosquitoes. I know. Across Africa, climate-related challenges continue to reshape regional policy. In East Africa, ongoing drought conditions have led to water shortages after affecting millions. Several governments with support from international aid groups are expanding emergency relief programs.
Somebody I have blocked is in the room.
Long-term
I think I only
water
have one person blocked
infrastructure.
on the app.
Let's see, coming closer to home. South America, our mod squatter Alfonso. Heavy flooding has displaced thousands of residents in parts of Brazil and Colombia. Emergency crews are working around the clock to restore power and transport supplies to affected communities. Environmental scientists say extreme weather patterns in the region are becoming more frequent due to shifting climate conditions. Coming closer to North America, researchers have released a new study on global migration patterns showing significant movement driven by economic opportunity and climate-related displacement. Experts say international cooperation will be essential to managing long-term democratic shifts. I want to go to El Normo since we're kind of on the economy. You know, El Normo, you were speaking about Donald Trump earlier. And although it hasn't been talked about in the past couple of days, there's this potential $2,000 per American stimulus check for eliminating the tariffs. You're familiar with that, right, El Normo?
Yes, I have heard about that.
What do you think about that? And do you...
We're back to the tariffs, ladies and gentlemen. We made it full circle to the tariffs. We made it to the tariffs.
A little of our national debt. Any thoughts?
Well, we Democrats and Republicans are caught in a conundrum, as Scott and John Kitover have discussed. And the conundrum is that we are we're indulging in endless cycles of borrowing and then paying the money on the borrowed money and not being willing to cut our wonderful lifestyle anywhere. Trump is trying to.
Do they realize we spend more on interest for our deficit than we do on our military budget?
Destructive / creative reset by using tariffs, which I think is questionable, but is having some results, by repatriating manufacturing, by reducing the trade deficit. In other words, by selling more than we're buying, which sounds like a long-term vision that is resulting in short-term pain. In other words, it could work in the future, but it certainly is going to result in some pain in the short term.
Norm, let me just say that I have no problem with the way tariffs have been used in the past. Basically, they're to equalize our trade balance. And one could argue that that's what Trump is trying to do, and I'll paraphrase in a drastic way. But what I don't like, what I absolutely can't stand, is when he imposes a tariff and then takes it back within 24 hours or a week or a month. It's sort of like a mother holding a carrot stick in front of a baby or something like that. And that I don't like. Please continue.
I think when it comes to this stuff, Steve
has got to run a show.
And as a business,
it's the Steve Show. That's what you got to always remember. He's the boss in Steve world.
And the trade deficit is one of them.
I know it's called
he's trying
or whatever the hell he calls it these days. I'm not going in there. I'd rather talk
you are in here. You're in here with me.
Time with our trade deficit. Now, he's doing something
Yeah,
right,
I'm
but
just
it's
sharing your
painful,
pain, dude.
and
That's what the
we
medic
don't know if
does.
it's sufficient.
We
or
got Yakov in here now, and I've been calling him Jackoff. It gets him really
by the way,
angry.
did you know he did reduce the military budget? We had to. I think it's just by a little bit, but we did.
I didn't know it, but I believe you.
Yeah, just a little bit. How and why? You know, people talk about the money to Israel, so I did a little calculating last night. Who knows how many billions we've in total given Israel? Call it something like a few hundred billion since its birth. Do you know how much we've spent on NATO since around the same time, since World War II? I will tell you because I looked it up. 22 trillion.
No.
2 trillion. So, for example, if we got the money
that
back
why
between
Trump
well, that would pay off.
And I can tell you this: for the first 2 years of the Ukraine war, we gave Ukraine about $200 to $250 billion, or supplies.
180 billion.
Oh, fair enough. 180. Thank you.
Yakov's got the numbers. He's got the statistics.
33 billion each year defending Europe. And by the way, I think we need to. But I think we need Europe, now that it has some thriving economies, which are rich in social programs, free healthcare,
We only need
free
Poland.
education,
Fuck everybody else.
have a baby, take a year off. Wonderful.
Good point.
France and England and
There's probably people in Poland that want to flip to Russia's
Scandinavia,
side.
Denmark, you know.
Dude,
But
I
guys,
think Poland just wants to
you
be
spend
Poland,
a little
dude.
bit on defense because Russia's
Yeah, you're right.
coming for you. Russia's
You
definitely
know, there's a lot of
coming for
Polacks here in
us. So Trump
Chicago,
has been
and
good in that regard.
they're
He
amazing
has,
people.
Said to Europe, stand up and defend yourself. Now, I think the aid to Israel is going to change. It's just a little bit in the global scheme
Yeah,
of things. It's like
I've
3
been
billion
seeing
in
like
Israel.
videos
You
and
live with it or
pictures.
without
It's
it. Israel
looking
has a
very
better
nice.
economy than
Looks
the
like a good
European
option
nations
for
I just
Johnny this
mentioned.
summer.
It has a per
All
capita
I know is all the
GDP
girls
of
were
52,000 a
I
year
know.
for England,
I know. That's the
France,
greatest
Italy.
thing about it.
So what he's saying is, Israel, you go handle the Middle East. And Europe, you go handle Russia. And we need to face China. China is the existing credible threat, economically and militarily. Not that we want to fight China, but we want to deter China. Because China's going to want Taiwan, and China's going to want Japan. And, you know, China's going to take some vengeance on Japan for what it did during World War II. They haven't forgotten that legacy of genocide from Japan and the rape of Nanking. So we have to decide if we're going to defend our allies. By the way, we've given another, I forget the number, hundreds of billions to Japan and Korea. You know, we have 25,000 troops stationed in Korea. Not sure how many we have in Japan. So we have been defending U.S. interests in Europe and Asia at a tremendous cost. And now we have to see if
This
we
is
can
how El
share
Normo
that
does it. He
cost
slow
with our
walks
allies.
you into
Now
his
that we have
point.
stood up
It's
their
coming.
economies,
His point is coming.
ashes with atomic weapons.
Dude,
And then we rebuilt them and made them. At one time in the 80s, they were the second most powerful economy.
What do you mean? Norm goes all night.
1 minute, Norm. 1 minute, please.
Yeah.
Oh, that's El Normo?
This is a project that I don't think the Democrats are on board
I'm in
with.
the room with you, so I don't see it. So I don't know
party.
who's talking.
And I don't even think the Republicans are on board with it. Trump is not a unique position.
I said to El Normo once, like, when you were younger, when you were a young man, he was like, hey, fuck you, man. I'm still a young man.
Change our geopolitical alignment. And to eventually, I believe there'll be a dividend from that militarily. But it's a long process.
I'm trying to shave my beard off, by the way.
Right up to 2000.
I'm growing mine out for the winter.
I think it's like Bush sending checks in the mail or Biden sending checks in the mail. I think it's just to help him with the midterm elections.
Let's say hello to Yakov, a good friend.
Jack off!
Good morning, Yakov. Thank you for coming back. What would you like to talk about? Or did you want to wait?
Yeah, I want to wait. Just a couple points on Norm's thing.
Yes, of course.
There's about 20. The 7th Fleet is forward deployed in Japan, which is there's only 2 fleets that are forward deployed, meaning deployed outside the U.S.
What
The 7th Fleet is
talking about
forward.
the 7th Fleet in Japan.
Is forward deployed. The U.S. 7th Fleet is based out of Japan. There's 27,000 sailors, an aircraft carrier, and a bunch of other ships. So yeah, we have a big stake in Japan. Israel has publicly stated very, very loudly over the last year and a half that they're going to move to a co-investment model and away from the in a nominal non-war year, they get about $3.8 billion. About 99% of that is military. A trivial amount is for research.
$4 billion a year. They're getting 20-30 billion a year, Jack.
Economic support anymore. So they know that the gig will eventually be up. So they're moving to decouple that smartly.
Decoupling?
I think in
nipples?
3 years they may
Jack off!
in their own aircraft and creating another export market. Like they developed the world's best tank. They'll develop.
They got the best tank in the world? Bullshit! I saw that tank. Somebody turned it into a battery for cell phone chargers.
So, good morning, everybody.
Jacka!
Let's try and get one more speaker in before the break. Let's say hello to Ramar. Ramar, good morning. Is this your first time on the show?
No, good afternoon.
I love how Steve pretends to be like a nice gentleman when he introduces and welcomes people.
That is much better. Welcome to the show. What would you like to talk about?
The prick is coming.
I just wanted to, Naftali El Nomo.
Just refer to him, no disrespect, just refer to him as a prior speaker. I find it eliminates a lot of future problems. Prior speakers. Yeah, go ahead.
This is the Uncle Steve show on how to be gay.
There is, I have to correct you on one point. We don't get a year off, when we have like
year off.
Like,
you want to jack off?
Some kind of imagination. However, I do agree that Western Europe needs to and needs
you talking to your dog or this F word?
I can't rely on the United States of America, which is what Western Europe has.
I don't understand people like that.
40, 50 years.
I'm gonna go to England and pretend I'm a gay twat and just speak like this to everybody.
If you act like a nunce, you'll get a lot of love over there.
You think I can go? You think I could go to England and meet like royalty and like get hooked up with like some baroness or something?
Dude, I guarantee you can LARP the shit out of England.
I could just LARP it, right? And just pretend I'm English.
LARP it, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go to England and pretend I'm English.
And that pretty much takes us to the top of the hour. Good morning, everybody. 2 hours in the tank, 1 hour left. Welcome to another edition of Ask Uncle Steve with Reverend Scott and the Mod Squad. If you're here for the first time, this is how the show works. We encourage everybody, and that does mean you, to be bold, brave, courageous. If you're in the
I
audience,
met these English guys. They told me they went to India and they were like kicking and pushing people, screaming at these people.
Politics, religion, God, Clubhouse, the show, you, and of course me and the Mod Squad. I have without
We're going back
some of the best
to the mother
history
country.
of Clubhouse. They have a wide variety of fields of expertise and knowledge. You can come up and go on a narrative just to have a take and don't suck. What does that mean? Be reasonable and also don't say something completely idiotic or stupid. Otherwise, I'll stop you on a dime and I will grill your ass. You can ask a question. You can make comments. You can critique.
You'll grill it.
And
what do you do after you grill a piece of ass, Steve?
When we come back after the break, I will be handing over the keys to the jalopy, the captain's seat, to the XO, Reverend Scott.
Oh,
so
shit. Scott's the vice president of this motherfucker. Sorry, Uncle Steve, can't play your shitty
so
music.
Much garbage. Yeah, he's gonna fucking clip you on like sound licensing or something.
He's trying to,
Dude, I am so fucking drunk right now.
Oh, so I put the American Federalist Papers into Suno for music. Huh?
I was gonna ask you to do something for me.
What?
Find your most favorite Alan Watts like, saying, like, maybe like a paragraph or two, and tell AI to make it have an Erykah Badu. You know who Erykah Badu is?
Yeah, you can't use artists' names. So you'd have to tell me the style. What does she do? Like, I would call it. What would you call it?
The name of her song was Baduism because her dad's a Muslim within, like, who's that? Louis Farrakhan kind of guy. Her dad's like one of the top people in there.
In Nation of Islam? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Erykah Badu is the Nation of Islam's, like, daughter.
Yep.
And so I don't know what kind of style of music you would consider Baduism.
I would call it like funk pop psychedelic.
I would call it more blues.
Okay.
Like I would say blues, funk, popadelic. Does that work? Blues, funk, and popadelic?
Mm-hmm.
But get your favorite Alan Watts poem. God, I was literally thinking about that before I went to sleep last night. I'm like, what can I tell him to make another song about him?
I asked Grok to give me a summary of Alan Watts's 10 discoveries on psychology, and it was incredible. And then I asked Grok to give me...
Dude, I don't know why, talking to you, Alan Watts has been showing up on my feeds. Like, I literally watched a black and white interview where he was talking about the psychology of something.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what he was saying made sense. I didn't really pay attention because I was drunk like I am now. But I was listening to it and I was agreeing with it. So I know that I like what he was saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, but it was a black and white TV interview. Like before Hippy Dippy Weatherman was a thing. I think George Carlin was like an Alan Watts fan.
Probably.
I don't know, man. It's just, yeah, deportation. Yeah, 6. I'm sorry that you got deported.
Television stations, they take breaks. We don't take breaks here.
That is right. How many souls have come onto the show so far?
It looks like we had 402 so far.
402 souls. Well, Reverend, I'm stepping out of the captain's chair. Here are the keys to the jalopy. Run it straight and true, baby.
Thank you.
Question before you leave, Steve.
Yes, sir.
The dialogue that you just played about God inside, was that from a movie, a preacher? What was that from?
That is the actor. Thank you for asking. That is the actor Gene Hackman playing the character of Reverend Scott in the original Poseidon Adventure, 1973.
Oh, I love that movie.
Here's Reverend Scott, everybody.
Yeah, I want to put. Well, first off, we're in the presence of greatness, so I do have a question I want to ask somebody on the stage. But first,
and by the way, I show John Lee on stage.
We have to go.
It's up to you. Run it straight and true. Yeah.
No, Uncle C, we have to go to John Lee. John Lee, one of the great Christian apologists on this app, a guy
John
that
Lee
tangles with atheists, tangles with liberals, tangles with progressives. I think he's become not just a Christian apologist, but a mild Russia apologist. But, John, it's great to see you on the stage. Would you like a fresh 5 to just talk about, whatever's on your mind and to enlighten us?
I've been listening for about the last at least an hour.
Here comes a Calvinist
on this Saturday, and I really like your show, your structure, Steve. You do have the greatest mods on Clubhouse. I agree. I like the way you give 5 minutes to everybody talking. And I just want to talk a little bit about politics this morning. And Scott, you mentioned Well, let me begin with a lot that you mentioned. You mentioned that that you are often criticized for criticizing your own party. Now, recently, I was called a communist by a MAGA friend of mine because I said, listen, forget the Democrats. What are we going to do about the shutdown? What are we Republicans going to do? And I said, it might be good faith for Mike Johnson after 6 weeks to bring Congress together. That shows good faith because Congress is about compromise. I mean, I'm old enough to remember Tip O'Neill and Reagan. I'm old enough to remember Newt Gingrich working with Bill Clinton, even as he's being impeached.
I'm 20,
I mean, this is what Congress is supposed to be. Unfortunately, when Obama was elected, he told Eric Cantor, elections have consequences. And so we've had a whole series of just partisanship in Congress, and I'm sick and tired of it. I think a lot of Americans are sick and tired of that. So I do think that we should think about what our party needs to do, respected to move forward and working with each other across the aisle to make this country better. And I also wanted to mention, Scott, about a little bit about what you said about income tax. If you remember, right, forget FDR, think about the 1800s.
1861 was the first income tax. Why? Because
we didn't have one. We didn't have it. Exactly. And this country did just fine. I think a lot of problems occurred when
I love how you hear history.
We started socializing a lot of programs. Became
well, in the 1800s, John, we also didn't have the military force. We're an empire in the 1800s. Sure. We were not. I mean, we built. We became the dominant world power, and that cost a little money to do
soldiers.
Sure. Well, if you remember, we incurred a crazy amount of debt during World War II.
We didn't want to go into the war because we didn't have the power.
I did want to talk about what Steve said as well. He talked about what should we do with our national debt. The last I looked, we're pretty close to $38 trillion. I think the national debt to GDP is about 130%. We see what happened in Japan when they have 200%. I mean, forget lost decade. This lost multiple decades. We see the results from that. So our country's in trouble. And I think, Steve, forget the $2,000 to every, I think that's a gimmick. Pay down the debt, right? Do the things that we need to do to get our house in order fiscally. And I think that, Elon Musk said, listen, our interest is more than the military. That should be a big red flag. And somebody mentioned something about NATO stepping up. I think Trump did a good thing by getting them to pay like 5% of their GDP. I think Canada also should increase their contributions. And I think the United States have been paying so much.
Fucking conversation I've heard.
South Korea, the Philippines, Japan, and now it almost seems like now we have to fight one against China. So I think that we're spending way too much money and interest abroad that the United States can no longer afford to be that sort of world power to
I can't take much more of this.
Other countries.
This is excruciating.
So I think
Sorry,
that we need to
I got some Alan Watts music coming.
We have a credit card bill that's just way too high.
Oh, dude.
We can barely afford the minimum payments, and we just need to pay it down. But that's all I have to say. Thank you for the time, Steve.
And thank you. And very quickly, before I go back to Reverend Scott, John, wouldn't it be a little more than a coincidence if that $2,000 stimulus was paid at the beginning of October, 30 days before the midterm elections? Wow. Back to you, Reverend.
Hey, great to see you, John, and I hope to see more of you. You've always been a force on this app.
Big sucking.
It's always great to see you in the room. Thanks for coming. I want to ask El Normo a question. One of the great ones. El Normo, if you were in Illinois, in a certain district, would you vote, El Normo, for John Kitover for Congress? If it was in your purview, El Normo, to vote for John Kitover, would you do it?
I would, but I don't think I can from Georgia.
I think I would.
absentee ballot?
I think I would. I'd have to be clear on his positions and know who he was running against. Personally, I like him very much. So I think most decisions actually are made on the basis of relationships. So if I acted solely on my relationship with him, then it would be a yes. So provisionally, I would say yes. But I definitely want to hear his positions on issues and what he can do for me and my interests. I have a feeling I know, but I want to hear him put them out there as a platform.
Go for it, dude.
Congressman Kitover, candidate, do you want to respond to Norm and tell him what you could do for him if he was a hypothetical Illinois?
Yeah. Listen, I use the national debt as a political talking point, but the truth is the whole world is in debt, and Japan and China and Russia and UK, everybody. You can go to usdebtclock.org and look at the national deficits and the total national debt of every country on the planet. However, it's my opinion that as Americans, if we want to truly be the greatest, we should have a great integrity when it comes to the US dollar. And that means sound moral currency and prudent, fiscally conservative spending with regards to everything, especially with regards to paying the national interest on the debt, as well as the military industrial complex and big pharma, and yes, entitlements. If I mention the word austerity, I immediately get booed down when I do public speaking engagements in this debate. Now, I have a feeling that Al Normo's number one issue that he would like in a candidate could possibly be to maintain the fiscal relationship with Israel. And, that's my number two concern in terms of foreign welfare. But the State Department is still even giving money to Russia. We give $8 million a year for orphanages in Russia. $8 million a year for orphanages in Russia. I think an orphanage in Brooklyn could be a better usage of our money as opposed to giving it to some grant in Russia. So, in my opinion, Doge has done the most incredible thing. They have thoroughly analyzed, and they are continuing to analyze a lot of these wasteful contracts that go through procurement through the Treasury Department. I myself have submitted many federal procurement contracts. I've reviewed many federal contracts for spending, and there's very little oversight, very little integrity, and your average congressperson and senator, they just approve the spending, but your average federal employee actually has to put it into this huge database, which Doge has screenshotted and exposed. A lot of this is fraudulent, wasteful spending on education grants internationally in all these foreign countries. We waste our treasury and we pay taxes. Again, my fellow Americans, we are all $400,000 in debt individually to the federal government. That doesn't include your state or your local. That's just the federal. We are so effed financially and fiscally. No one has any clue about the damage and the pain that could be coming our way. It's theoretical, but because the whole world operates on this, and we've got the biggest billy club and the best driver in the golf bag, it's up to us to lose the number one spot on the PGA Tour, my fellow Americans.
Thank you, Kennedy. I appreciate that. That was very thoughtful. And, people can think about, how they're going to vote in his district. It's very interesting. He's a formidable force on the political trail. Seeing no new speakers on the stage. Let's go to Yakov.
Look at Danny. She got a picture of you, Doc. Is that you?
Yakov, would you like a fresh five to talk about what's on your mind?
You know I'm on everybody's mind.
Sorry, I'm uncharacteristically thoughtless at the moment.
Would you have any thought about? Would you vote for Kitover if he was representing you in your district?
I like John. Let's just get that out of the way. But I don't think he presents himself as a serious candidate. I can't tell where the joking starts and the seriousness stops. You can X me out all you want. Like, I respect you as a person. I just. The way you act in Clubhouse, it's going to be an opposition research wonderland. Whoever you run against, they're just going to have a field day. And I just say, clean it up. before someone gets serious in their opposition research on you, John.
Thank you very little, Yakov.
I want to vote for you, John. I want to vote for you, but I can't.
You can't vote for me. You don't live in the 16th district.
Because just conceptually, Scott had this as a conceptual question because he knew Norm doesn't live there either. He said, would you vote? Would being the operative word. Would could be you live in there. Would could also be you don't live there. But if you did live there, would you vote for
Scott? I mean, Yakov, I'm a comedian. I'm an actor, a filmmaker, a producer, a politician, a musician, a magician. I'm everything, Yakov.
I think we need focus in candidates who focus on policy. Like those are all wonderful qualities, John, and that's what makes you a force on Clubhouse. That's what it makes me want to engage with you. Like you bring perspective on a lot of different things. I don't get the sense that you're serious when it comes to this endeavor. I think this is like kind of like a game for you, and maybe I'm wrong. Prove me otherwise. But I want people there. We got lots of serious people, lots of serious problems, and I want serious people trying to tackle serious problems. Not people who are making jokes, and good jokes, by the way. You make me laugh all the time.
People said he's the Andy Kaufman of Clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean there's no more respect than that, no more respect than that. Andy Kaufman, genius. But I do want you alive, not dead. So let's get real. So that's my take.
Well, Yakov, you got to understand, the fool becomes the sage, and this is all an experiment. Whether I win or lose the congressional election remains to be seen. Just getting on the ballot is an incredible challenge, and I'm still in the courts fighting to get on the ballot, Yakov. So thank you very much for your analysis.
John, I congratulated you the day. Remember, I texted you and I said, "How'd you do?" And you said, "We got like 16. We got a couple hundred more than we needed." I said, "Congratulations!" Like, yeah, it's an accomplishment. I can't vote for you, but that doesn't mean we can't be friends. It doesn't mean I don't respect you here in Clubhouse, and I hope you don't take it that way.
Well, Yakov, I think it was great. We got a new speaker here, Paul D'Ambrosio.
Who's putting that crying thing on? Problem is, the show is so popular. When someone puts a thing on you, you have to scream. You have to scroll all the way down, and you end up.
We're huge.
Yeah, you're huge. I can't even get to the bottom. Then the emojis stop. So
it's stupid. Thank you, Yakov. We're gonna go to Paul D'Ambrosio. Paul, welcome to the stage. It's nice to see you. Would you like a fresh five? Tell about what's on your heart or mind?
Yes, I'm doing something now. Can you call me back in 10 minutes?
We can come back to you. We can certainly come back to you. Let's go back over to we're running through the mods here because
Lynn is new.
Lynn, let's go to Lynn. Why not Lynn, it's great to see you again. New mod back on the stage. Lynn, how are you? Would you like a fresh five to set the temperature for the last hour of the room?
I don't necessarily need a fresh five, but happy Thanksgiving weekend, everybody. I hope everybody had a great Turkey Day. I'm just listening for right now.
Thank you. And we have the great Andrew Tuddy, the greatest Canadian, maybe on this entire app, maybe in the world. Andrew, my friend from the greater north, would you like a fresh five to tell us what's on your mind?
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. Flattery will get you everywhere, as you probably have realized on your adventures around Philadelphia. I don't have 5 minutes that I really want to say anything. I just want to comment a little bit about Venezuela. And I think this is typical of Donald Trump. On the one hand, he is...
Is that Yasmin?
Oh, well, we have to do
that Vancouver bitch!
From Venezuela.
That loudmouth bitch!
I read an article this morning on...
she gave me her number, and then she's like, I instantly regretted giving you my number, and I blocked you.
He's going to pardon former Honduras president. convicted and serving 45 years in the United States for drug smuggling and weapons offenses. So on one hand, this drug thing seems to be a big problem. I remember us and then on the other hand, let's pardon some of those that are responsible and accountable. And so I just find that dichotomy real frustrating, if nothing else. Head shaking, scratching. Again, that's kind of my occupation up here in Canada. Many of us in Canada, our occupation is to look at the United States and shake our heads, scratch them a bit. And this is just another example of some sort of buffoonery. I don't know what you call it, just total lack of integrity. So anyway, that's my little blurb this morning. Other than that, we got a foot of snow here the other day, man. I don't know, did you get any in Philly?
Because if you see yourself in the correct way, you are all as much extraordinary phenomenon of nature as trees, clouds, the patterns in running water, the flickering of fire, the arrangement of the stars, and the form of a galaxy. You are all just like that, and there is nothing wrong with you at all.
I think it's a fire.
Welcome to the show, the beautiful Persian princess of Vancouver, Nurse Ratchet of your local psych ward, and your male vaccinologist and chemical castration expert, Dr. Yasmin Yacobi, the world-famous anti-Semitic fighter of the world. Yay, Yasmin!
Which room are you listening
Yasmin, you have a big X account. Why don't you do an interview with candidate John, and we can discuss Middle East politics, U.S. domestic foreign policy.
I want to be a part of that conversation.
You got a big X account. Why don't you use it to promote my campaign?
I don't want to. I don't like it. I think you're going to delete it.
Oh, you're so useless.
I know.
Well, that's okay, because this is Clown House, and it's a place full of useless people.
Are you gonna give me a frontal lobotomy, Yasmin?
No.
She'll chemically castrate you, though, gladly.
Whoa, no. Just shoot me in the head, please.
Where a parent would allow their 5-year-old to say to another adult, fuck you or a piece of shit. Is there any validity to what he said?
Hell, again.
I would say not.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Is that Steve?
Yeah, that's Steve Appel. This is Casa de la Appel. It's Saturday morning. This is where he runs this little show.
Would that be a law?
No. He was
like if it's accepted by people.
He was making at first he was making the point that because.
But I'll tell you what hermits realize. If you go off into a far, far forest and get very quiet, you'll come to understand.
We're good. Just making some coffee. It's only 9:20 here.
Girl, I woke up this morning to figure out that it was Saturday because I've eaten so much food.
That you're connected with everything. Other people teach us who we are. Their attitudes to us are the mirror in which we learn to see ourselves. But the mirror is distorted. We are, perhaps, rather dimly aware of the immense power of our social environment. We could say that meditation doesn't have a reason or doesn't have a purpose. In this respect, it's unlike almost all other things we do, except perhaps making music and dancing. When we make music, we don't do it in order to reach a certain point. Such is the end of the composition. If that were the purpose of music, then obviously the fastest players would be the best.
Also, some of the things that are said
when we are dancing, we are not aiming to arrive at a particular place on the floor, as in a journey. When we dance, the journey itself is the point. As when we play music, the playing itself is the point. And exactly the same thing is true in meditation. Meditation is the discovery that the point of life is always arrived at in the immediate moment. I'm really saying is that you don't need to do anything. Because if you see yourself in the correct way, you are all as much extraordinary phenomenon of nature as trees, clouds, the patterns in running water, the flickering of fire, the arrangement of the stars in the form of a galaxy. You are all just like that, and there is nothing wrong with you. But I'll tell you what hermits realize. If you go off into a far, far forest and get very quiet, you'll come to understand that you're connected with everything. Other people teach us who we are. Their attitudes to us are the mirror in which we learn to see ourselves. But the mirror is distorted. We are perhaps rather dimly aware of the immense power of our social environment. We could say that meditation doesn't have a reason or doesn't have a purpose. In this respect, it's unlike almost all other things we do, except perhaps making music and dancing. When we make music, we don't do it in order to reach a certain point, such as the end of the composition. If that were the purpose of music, then obviously the fastest players would be the best. Also, when we are dancing, we are not aiming to arrive at a particular place on the floor as in a journey. When we dance, the journey itself is the point. As when we play music, the playing itself is the point. And exactly the same thing is true in meditation. Meditation is the discovery that the point of life is always arrived at in the immediate moment. We do not come into this world. We come out of it.
That will be attracted to
as
me. I just watched recently about Mr. Rogers. I never knew he was a Reverend Mr. Rogers, you know? Mr.
We're
Rogers.
schoolmates. We graduated from the same seminary, Pittsburgh Theological Seminary. Yeah, I met him one day at the Pittsburgh Seminary bookstore.
But the thing was that he never spoke about Jesus when I was a kid. He had such a great influence on my life. And he just reflected the light of Christ by living his Christianity. And I think that's just
a little less argumentation. You're saying what our Uncle Steve says. He says, out of these Christians, he'd like to hear a little less argumentation and a little more love thy neighbor.
That's me. That's me, Uncle Steve. I believe in that strongly, sir.
Yeah, but what's the silver lining?
In fact, if you look at my bio, if you click on my bio, that's what I'm about.
But John, what's the silver lining? How much is too much?
John, thank you. Uncle Steve, I'm going to give you the keys back to you, my friend.
All right.
What do you think of that half hour? John Lee, the great Christian apologist, quoting, basically, he didn't even know he was saying the same thing you said.
I absolutely love that, no question about it. And we've got literally 31 minutes until the show ends. So if you're in the audience, this is a perfect time to come on up and talk about whatever you want. In my queue, I showed Daniel. Daniel, good morning. Welcome back to Uncle Steve with Reverend Scott. Ask Uncle Steve with Reverend Scott in the Mod Squad. What would you like to talk about, Daniel? Daniel, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to greet everyone and great show. And
thank you.
God bless everybody, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. Did you have dinner with family or friends, hopefully?
No, I don't have family.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
You got your clubhouse family, Daniel. We love you.
Thank you very much for that, John Kitover. Well, Daniel, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much. And Joanna, you're back on stage. Would you like to contribute, or are you good?
Well, I'm eating some of my Dunkin' Donuts, but
yeah, you definitely don't want to talk with a mouthful. But if you, yeah.
I don't. Okay, so John.
You mean a prior speaker?
Oh shit.
That's all right. That's okay. But of course, if you want to talk about a mod, you can always mention the mod's name. And me, I appreciate when you go down these dangerous clubhouse streets, you mention me all the time. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Jesus said not a jot or a tittle of the Torah should be changed. To me, he was a Jew. He never said to change religions. He never said worship me and change your entire religion of Judaism into Christianity. The term Christianity didn't even come to hundreds of years later, but I'm sure the prior speaker will have what to say about that. I just don't see Jesus believing that we had to change from being Jewish to being a Christ Christian.
Well, like you said, Christianity really didn't exist until after he died, so he couldn't have said that.
Because he never said it. And people
That's
just
what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
But he did talk about God, and he did talk about loving thy neighbor, and he talked about forgiving them for they know not what they do, and he talked about love. He talked about togetherness. Jesus Christ went outside the cities and went to the rejects and went to the people that were weird and basically said that God loves you and I love you. And in the process of spreading love and togetherness, he became a danger and an enemy to the state. And that is why they executed him. In my humble opinion. And if it's okay, I'd like to go back to John Lee. John, go ahead and mute up, Joanna. Thank you. John Lee, any comments on what I just said?
And so, I mean, Jesus talked about the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. And so he just took it up another level. You know, he says if you hate your brother, you are murderer, right? If you have lust in your heart, you're an adulterer. You're in violation of the Mosaic laws. And so that, to me, is like what Jesus is saying. He says, you honor me with your lips, and yet your heart is far from me. And I think what Jesus did, he came on the scene, and he brought it down to basics. Brought it down to basics of having a relationship with God. He said the greatest commandments are to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your strength, all your soul, and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And these are the two greatest commandments. And he says that the whole entirety of the law is encompassed in these two verses. And I think he was such an amazing teacher that we have a lot to learn from, even on a secular level.
Since no one new is on stage, John, I'd like to follow up with you. Even though I'm an atheist, I was born a Jew, raised a Jew, currently identified as a Jew. I will die a Jew. Generally speaking, in the Jewish religion, there is no hell. Clearly, in Catholicism, there is a hell. And in Christianity, as long as you confess your sins, you're going to heaven. John, there seems to be some controversy, maybe not, about whether or not in Jesus's teachings he talked about hell. Can you comment on that, please, John?
Well, he talked about hell a lot, Steve.
Okay.
Right? And he talked about how, that the world never dies, and that there's weeping and gnashing of teeth, and
Here, maybe more specific. Did Jesus ever use the word, either in Aramaic or whatever, the word hell, or did he just talk about a bad, painful place?
I think he did talk about it in terms of Gehenna. Not sure exactly, but certainly there's that idea in the Tanakh, and so I just think that there's the understanding of Hades. There's the understanding of where the demons go. I forgot what place that was in the Greek. But yeah, there's a lot of ideas like that. And, there's Sheol, right? And we see the parables that he gives about, being, the person that's by Abraham's bosom. And there's a suffering, there's a chasm between them. And so I think that the concepts that Jesus is speaking of is just a sort of a revelation of what is that may not have been known before.
And since no one continues to be new on stage, and if you're in the audience, please come up, because in 10 minutes it's going to be impossible. John, one last question for you, and then I will move on from this topic. John, any thoughts on the Black Hebrew Israelites, or now they might be more commonly known as the Israelites? I've had many conversations with them. Some have been very civil, and some have been very tumultuous. Any comments on the Black Hebrew Israelites?
I had about 400 Hebrews.
If you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you'll spend your life completely wasting your time.
I think they're very
You'll be doing things you don't like
I
doing.
just happen to disagree with their interpretation. Right?
They're very knowledgeable about the 12 original tribes, far more than me. I know that. Oh yeah.
Even when it comes to the Samaritans, right? I didn't know that the Samaritans actually they go back to I believe it was the tribe of Ephraim or something like that, and they're the ones that are teaching me this kind of stuff. So I thought it was really, I learned a lot from them. But ultimately, they call me a Moabite, and they probably call other people like you, Steve, an Edomite.
An Edomite, yes, sir, because I am an Ashkenazi Jew. That is correct.
Right, and so I tell them, listen, I don't know about you, Steve, but they tell me I have no hope. I am not welcome in the assembly of the Lord. So I go to them. I remember going to a room that had probably maybe a couple of hundred people up there. I went up on stage and I said, listen, I'm a Moabite according to you. I have no hope to be in the assembly. And the Bible is not for me, but you see, Christianity gives me hope, right? And so if you can understand why I accept Christianity, because unlike your religion, right, that Christianity through faith in Christ gives me eternal life. And they kind of resonated with that. And ever since then, I don't attack them. I don't do anything. It's like they want to converse with me even more.
I believe in the past year they have modified their position. I think the reason is because they have come to the realization they can catch more flies with sugar rather than vinegar, to quote an old cliche. I have no problem with the Hebrew Israelites believing whatever they want to believe, but then they start to extrapolate into me and my Jewish brethren stole their identity, and that me and my Jewish brethren, although they've kind of backed off the following, they want to wipe us off the face of the planet. That's where I start to get angry, for lack of better words. But other than that, they can believe whatever they want. I don't agree with it, but they can believe whatever they want.
Well, I think they try to be offensive with me, and I'm just simply not. Come on, Steve. I've been around so long where I'm just getting attacked. And you just kind of grow a thick skin. And you still kind of I learned to love people anyway. And I think that can only come from God, not from myself.
And that is one of the many things that you and I have in common, is that we have thick skin. It's why, since I started this show over 4 years ago, I've invited everybody and anybody to come up to talk about anything and everything they want to talk about, because doesn't matter if I like you, don't like you, I agree with you, I don't agree with you, just have a take and don't suck. But with that, Let's go to Joanna. Joanna, would you, and by the way, people, again, 5 minutes to come up. It's going to be impossible after that. Joanna, would you like to take a couple of minutes and say goodbye or any closing thoughts? Joanna?
I'm happy you're going to be a grandfather. I knew it. My intuitions were right. I'm so grateful for the room and Violet, Scott, all the mods, JCC.
The best mod squad in the history of Clubhouse, yes.
And I really, during the week, I really look forward to Saturday when we could all get together. It's always pleasant, it's always interesting, and it's always fun. So that's it. That's my take.
Thank you, Joanna. First class escort down the red carpet to the VIP. Let's see. Let's go to, is John Kitover still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Here he is, John Kitover. Would you like to take a minute or two and say goodbye?
Yeah, goodbye, everybody. This was a great room. I really enjoyed the discourse and the critique and opinion. You know, if I can make you laugh, but you still won't vote for me, I would just say maybe you don't recognize the intelligence of the fool. The fool becomes the sage, and the sage helps liberate other people from this word hypnosis game that we all love to play. But I just want to read something from Lucius Seneca. It's called "On the Part Played by Philosophy and the Progress of Man."
And for those of you that don't know, people are more than welcome to come up here and read. We just ask you to limit it to 1 minute of reading. Go ahead, John.
Who can doubt, my dear Lucilius, that life is the gift of the immortal gods, but that living well is the gift of philosophy? Hence the idea that our debt to philosophy is greater than our debt to the gods, in proportion as a good life is more of a benefit than mere life, would be regarded as correct. Were not philosophy itself a boon which the gods have bestowed upon us? They have given the knowledge thereof to none, but the faculty of acquiring it they have given to all. For if they had made philosophy also a general good, and if we were gifted with understanding at our birth, wisdom would have lost her best attribute, that she is not one of the gifts of fortune. For as it is, the precious and noble characteristic of wisdom is that she does not advance to meet us, that each man is indebted to himself for her, and that we do not seek her at the hands of others. What would there be in philosophy worthy of your respect if she were a thing that came by bounty? Her sole function is to discover the truth about things divine and things human. From her side, religion never departs, nor duty, nor justice, nor any of the whole company of virtues which cling together in close united fellowship. Philosophy has taught us to worship that which is divine, to love that which is human. She has told us that with the gods lies dominion, and among men fellowship. This fellowship remained unspoiled for a long time, until avarice tore the community asunder and became the cause of poverty, even in the case of those whom she herself had most enriched. For men cease to possess all things the moment they desire all things for their own. So, you know, my point is, I like the book club. And if you understand what you're reading in the book club, you do treat your neighbor with love, compassion, selfless kindness, generosity. You know, be kind, be humble and forgiving and patient. If you have this great integrity, then all I can say is Mazel Tov and L'chaim.
First class escort to the VIP. There goes John Kitover. Oh, and we have a new person on stage. It looks like we have Pro. Pro, good morning. And I guess we don't. Let's see. Let's say goodbye to Daniel Nero. Daniel, would you like to say goodbye? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think you could make a good case that Jesus was a good Jew, and that he didn't want there to be breaking of the Mosaic law. So I think Christians might want to reevaluate that and get rid of the anti-Semitism that's been bubbling up.
Just being scared. If the mind is in pain, the mind is pain. The thinker has no other form than his thought. There is no escape.
One is a great deal less anxious. If one feels perfectly free to be anxious, and the same may be said of guilt. And people get all fouled up because they want the world to have meaning as if it were words. As if you had a meaning, as if you were a mere word, as if you were something that could be looked up in a dictionary. You are meaning. How is it possible that a being with such sensitive jewels as the eyes, such enchanted musical instruments as the ears, and such fabulous arabesque of nerves as the brain can experience itself anything less than a god? A priest once quoted to me the Roman saying that a religion is dead when the priests laugh at each other across the altar. I always laugh at the altar. Be it Christian, Hindu, or Buddhist, because real religion is the transformation of anxiety into laughter. The world is filled with love play, from animal lust to sublime compassion. To put it still more plainly, the desire for security and the feeling of insecurity are the same thing. To hold your breath is to lose your breath. A society based on the quest for security is nothing but a breath retention contest in which everyone is as taut as a drum and as purple as a beat. We do not come into this world. We come out of it as leaves from a tree. As the ocean waves, the universe peoples. Every individual is an expression of the whole realm of nature. A unique action of the total universe. If you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you'll spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living. That is to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. To remain stable is to refrain from trying to separate yourself from the pain, because